What has changed, or what is the bigger plus that you think we should be aware of and take into account?
Well, I did interview in 2023 as well, back in January or February for the circuit spot. A lot of what is there is still the same. I do still work at the state attorney's office. A few of the things that have changed are my wife is no longer with the Port Orange Police Department. She was working there, which involved shift work, and due to the nature of her shift work there, it kind of had an effect on what I was able to do, and you know, some of the freedoms that I have. I am the primary parent for our kids because of her job. So there is that one plus. She has more of a regular schedule now. And in addition to that, I've been with the office for another year. I've done a couple more trials, homicide trials, and I've picked up another department that I work with. I work with the Hollywood Police Department in addition to the Daytona Beach Police Department.
So there was heavy intake before. You've been doing that for a bit of a while.
Correct.
And so now you've been back into actually trying cases again.
I've done that over the past couple of years just to stay current in the courtroom. So yeah, there's obviously some of the more heavily involved trials are going to be the homicide trials or the sex crimes trials. So the homicide trials are kind of what I focused on now with a colleague of mine, Andrew Urbanek. I try a lot of cases with him. The last one we tried was just a couple months ago. So it's a good way for me, like I said, to stay current in the courtroom with the rules of evidence, procedure, things like that, and just to kind of maintain courtroom presence. And you know, as I've been told, if you let your skills go stale, it's hard to get them back. So I'm trying to keep myself current.
What about county civil, you know, evictions and all that kind of stuff? I don't see in your application a lot of experience in those areas, so how would you deal with that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. At the same time, I do think that I do have experience in civil based on my past. I worked for the Department of Children and Families, and when I was in Colorado, I was also a private attorney where I represented parents in dependency cases, which is similar to dependency cases here in Florida. Additionally, I've done Jimmy Rice here in Florida, and we do Baker Acts as well, which is, you know, a civil-based system. So I think I do have some experience to draw on. Additionally, a lot of what I do now, you know, a lot of the things are the same: evidence code and procedure, things like that. So I do have a good base, I have a good foundation. But another thing that I have to do is, a lot of what I do currently is, which if you don't know something, you ask. And I think that that's something I would have to do is lean on. Obviously, I would have to, you know, start from day one and learn as much as I can about civil county if I'm chosen to do that, but also ask questions. So you can't be afraid to ask questions. I've been an attorney for almost 17 years now, and I still ask questions. I staff cases with other people in my office, and I would do the same on the bench. I would ask the more experienced judges, you know, their opinions, and just make sure that you know, that I'm well-rounded in that area.
Other questions from the group?
What about running an election? What would be your plan for that?
I think running an election, that starts from day one. I think you have to do a good job on the bench, but I think that also I have to assume, if I do get an appointment, that I think I have to assume that I am going to be challenged. So I think that I have to start campaigning, if not directly, at least indirectly, making my presence known in the community, and that includes doing a good job on the bench, and also kind of you know, leaning on the contacts that I do have in the community. Obviously, I'm fairly well known in the legal community, very well known in the law enforcement community. My wife as well is very well known in the law enforcement community, and you know, my parents, my mom works at Henry Riddle, my dad's in the insurance industry, so you have to kind of lean on those contacts and not be afraid to knock on doors, to talk to people, to say, this is who I am, you know, this is what I anticipate doing, and can I have your support? And just kind of start from the inside out, basically, to be prepared to financially and physically run a campaign.
Tell us about your community involvement now.
So obviously my community involvement now is a little bit more limited than some of the other applicants, but what I try to do is, as I said, as a primary parent, I know that I have a large role, as other applicants do, in my kids' lives. So I try to do what I can that involves things with my kids. So my daughter's very heavily involved in gymnastics, so you know that's something that we do together as a family, and we make contacts that way. My son was playing baseball, so I coached a couple seasons of baseball as well, including this past year when he didn't play, just because that's something I like to do, and it's a good way for me personally to get out in the community and to do something that that I enjoy, that I can share with other people. So I just have to kind of do what I'm able to do within the limitations that I have based on family and work obligations as well.
Anything else you'd like to put a circle or a star around, or highlight to say, hey, come on, this really is a distinguishing feature?
Well, I would just like to say that I am a prosecutor. I have been for 17 years, and I understand that there may be a concern that a prosecutor would be a prosecutor on the bench. But as a prosecutor, I think that my experience has been kind of the opposite, because as a prosecutor, you have to look at a case as a whole. You can't just look at it as a prosecutor and say, here's this case that I have, I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to file charges and go forward with it. You have to look at it as a judge. It's a quasi-judicial position, and you have to look at various issues when a case comes into you. You have to look at suppression issues. You have to look at Miranda issues. You have to look at does it meet the statute? Even if it does meet all these things, do I still file charges? You have to look at it from a judge's perspective, a defense attorney's perspective. You have to look at it from a witness's perspective, a victim's perspective, and as a jury as well. So I think that training that I've had as a prosecutor, and really even as a DCF attorney and as a dependency attorney, has trained me to become a judge. I've been in front of multiple judges throughout my career, and I feel that they've also helped play a role in what would lead me to be a good judge on the bench, because I have to look at all these different things and make the right decision. I think that translates directly into who I would be as a judge, and I think that translates to being a good judge, because I don't just look at a case one-sided, I look at the whole case.
Thank you.